Hi, my name's John. I play in the band Easy Tiger. We do a lot of our own lighting, which we do all through DMXIS, which is a VST plugin essentially, offered by Entech, and we use it in Ableton. I know I should do the screenshot thing, but whatever. Let me show you what we're working with real quick. We have fog and haze. We have a couple RGB lasers. Sunny, SUNY, DM RGB 400s. They're like 125 bucks. RGB, DMX controllable. They're awesome. We have 4 there and 4 there. They're just generic LED pars. 6 more on either side of these screens. Can't really, I don't know if you can see that one or not. There's 2 more over there. They're generic as well. Then we have 1 on the back, which you definitely can't see, and 1 over there, which you probably can't see. Just creating kind of like a cool backlighting effect. The drummer kind of sits in between these custom frames we built. They're 2x5 PVC and felt, really, with like a really thin plywood backing of some sort. I don't know, it's pretty lightweight, maybe like 5 pounds each. What else we got? Got 3 mini Kintas by Chauvet, 1 on each side of the stage, really, then 1 behind the drummer. The 2 on the sides are on, share the same channel. The 1 in the back is on sound. All the LED pars are on their own channels. What else we got? We got the 4 mini color strips by Chauvet. They illuminate the frames, and 4 American DJ LED pars. They're usually at the front of the stage, angled up from underneath, but for programming purposes, I just kind of put them back here. It's easy to see everything at once. Oh, and how could I forget? This is the whole reason for the video, really. We got these 4 moving head units by Lixada. They are also pretty awesome. The only downside is there's no RGB control individually, just color presets. So automating color changes is difficult with them. Impossible, really. So I don't automate that. I guess we could have started a long time ago just automating color changes in the pars, but I mean, we have so many of them, it's not really a factor. I guess if I ever want to do it, I guess I will, but it's not a pressing issue at this point. I'm using an old Korg Mini something or other to control basic transport and instrument selection parameters, I guess, within Ableton. And I'm just going to kind of show you my screen here. Basically what we're working with, we have all of our songs in one session. They're all on markers. They can all be queued up with that on stage. But we're just going to focus on one song today. And it's pretty much the same process for any song, really. But we use a click. The drummer hears the click. We don't. It goes out through an in-ear monitor. Eventually we'll all have packs, and that'll be awesome. But for now, that's what we're working with. What I wanted to do was tempo map the session, but the tempo changes from one song to the next. One song might be 140 BPM, the other 110. This one happens to be 110. So what I did was I just used this as the master track for the tempo. It happens to be the click, but it could really be any sound file. It could be 2 seconds of silence. And then what you do is you come down here and you initiate that warp selection. It's initiated now, that's why it's highlighted. And then you initiate the master control. What that does is make this the master, the rest of Ableton is the slave. So I set the BPM to what the song actually is. I don't know if you can see it up here in the corner. It's 110 BPM. The downside is the warp kind of manipulated the click, so it was no longer on time with the rest of the song. It's okay, I just went into my little browser over here. I've got all my stuff, so I just pulled that same click onto its own new audio track, muted the other one, and it works. The old click is back and everything lines up. And as the song moves along the timeline, when it hits this song, it'll switch to 110 BPM. When it hits the next song, it'll hit whatever it's slaving to. So that's very helpful. I used to have to do the next thing we're going to talk about by zooming in on the click like I'm doing now and just lining it up as best I can, and then zooming out and then moving to the next cue point and doing the same thing. It was ridiculous. So this is much easier. Everything just snaps to a grid. I love it. Anyway, so what we have here, when you first get this DMXIS unit out of the box, is they give you some basic instructions, and those instructions would be just basically sequencing your bank changes and then your chases within those banks, speaking as if it were a hardware controller. It's essentially a hardware controller. It's just a software one. So we have our MIDI command for the bank here. I typically start with a blackout while the song counts in, where all the lights are off, and then from there it goes. Each one of these is a chase, or another cue in the song where there's a pause, there's a verse, there's a chorus, whatever the case may be. I can just make the MIDI notes. Oh, let me expand this. There we go. Pull up DMXIS. Each one of the banks chooses one of the songs on the left. We've got a few, and the actual preset channel selects the presets within these banks. So there's a bunch of those too. Let's see, we're going to focus on this one. Now, the problem I was having, and that maybe you're having as well, is that I needed to automate some of the parameters of some of these lights. I'm just focusing on the moving heads, but I want to be able to automate the pan and the tilt functions. Let me pull up one of these presets and I'll show you what I mean. Have Pixie. Anything that really has the lights going. All right. So you'll notice the moving heads are on. Let me kick some fog on. All right, we got some fog going. You can see the laser starting to cut through it. This is kind of not quite the climax of the song, but it's the section leading up to it. So it's pretty energetic, I guess. You can see I kind of got like a staggered strobe thing going on the screens. Lasers going. There's one behind me. And we got the moving heads. In this section of the song, they're just kind of doing what they're doing now. So it's not a big deal. But I'm going to show you. Say I wanted to adjust the pan. Here it is panning. Yeah, I want to adjust the tilt. There they are tilting. But unless somebody's actually sitting at this board moving those faders, you got to automate it. So I'm coming over here. What I did was, before I started, this wasn't really expanded, but this configure option was there. So I would arm that. Basically what that does is you can go in here, and whatever parameter you click on is going to create one of these bad boys. So what I'm doing is I am controlling the pan. So I just selected my parameters in the order that I wanted them to appear here. So I selected the pan function on each unit, going from left to right, tilt from left to right, light on, which is kind of like an on-off, but it's also the strobe function. There's also another little preset in there that's kind of like a fade in and then blackout, and then fade in, blackout kind of thing that you can adjust the speed for, which is kind of cool. And then there's dim control. So this is where other videos, good videos, so very well put together, but one of the problems I was having was that they were assigning these to macros. I guess with the benefit that you could name them, because as you can see, it's a little confusing, but the channels line up respectively. 97 is going to be channel 97 up here, which I believe is head number 1. Yeah, there's channel 96. Next one's 97. You just can't see the number because that's where the head is. But you only get 8 macros, so really that's good for like, what, 2 lights maybe? We have like 30 of them almost. So I just didn't make the macros. The only downside is you don't get to name what it is that you're automating, but I mean, whatever. Make a notebook or something if you have to. But anyway, here's the automation. Can't really see anything because there's not always something going on in each song. If I zoom out though, you'll see where I've done a bunch. I've only actually done 2 songs so far because this is all new to me. At least the automating aspect. So you do your automation. If you notice that, say everything's kind of in groups of 4s because there's 4 lights, but you might notice that there's actually only 3 in that group, or 3 in that group. Also over here, only 3 in that group. That's because some of these tracks have essentially disarmed their automation because I've somehow made another edit in the arrangement view. This is something I had to learn. So it's a real easy fix. You just go up here at your transport, you hit this, which is telling you to re-enable automation. That's exactly what you want to do. I click it, and now we got our 4 back. So that's great. If you ever have that problem, just click that little arrow. Anyway, I can hide my automation. I'm back to my tracks. Let me show you something that I have automated. We'll just do, let's see where we're at. I know where we're at. All right, we're going to do this. Let me do this. Sometimes this thing is a son of a bitch, and I have to go back in here and tell it that it is on this song, because this is the song we're doing. If I had started from the very beginning, I have that bank marker, so it'll tell it where to go, but it's sometimes an issue if you are just moving around within a track for editing purposes. But anyway, here we go. So you see, the lights really aren't doing a lot automation wise, and that's fine. That's what they're supposed to be doing right here. There's another change right now though, and now they're moving, and this is automation that I've written. I've kind of copied and pasted one pattern for the other, and then staggered them a beat per light, so they move just enough out of sync that they have a nice flowing effect. And these mini quintos kick on. I have them all doing the same thing. Lasers going. It's a good time. But yeah, that's how you do it. Again, the main focus of this is just automating. Learning how to basically assign those functions of the preset, and once you're automating, remember to hit that little arrow every once in a while. It'll drive you crazy if you haven't already figured that out. Anyway, my name's John. I play in the band Easy Tiger. Subscribe if you like. We'll post some other useful videos, or hopefully they're useful, and leave a comment. Thanks.